They're just cartoons. Don't you realize you're wasting your time here? Anyway, let's get started. We're going to start off with some shorts. We got a whole short section and a whole movie section. And don't worry, you don't have to write anything down. One of our last slides has all the stuff we talked about. So just take a picture. Man, we got some groovy tunes in the background. Oh yeah, some backing track? Yeah, some background track. That's K-pop Demon Hunters, right? I think that's what it is? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. All right. Very scary film. Let's go into the first thing we're going into today, and that is Cat Soup. I like to go on the internet and just find random weird animations, and out of nowhere, I discovered this one, produced in 2002. 2001, actually. Let's go to the next slide. It's based on a manga by Neko Jiro-san, but the film itself was produced by Tatsuo Sato. I cannot pronounce the Japanese names, please forgive me. And also something I learned today while making sure my notes for the panel was good, is that it was actually announced that Sato died of liver failure on April 24th, but the information wasn't actually relayed until about a week ago. And I feel like since I am covering one of his films, one of the films that he's like really well known for, that it's important to remember that this was a person who worked on this, and unfortunately he's no longer with us. He actually was one of the directors on Yu-Gi-Oh! Brains, if any of you guys heard of that. And this is one of his films that got him into the animation industry as a whole. The story itself is a psychedelic romp through the afterlife. Surreal imagery is used, designed to make you uncomfortable, and really fill in the dots of what the actual meaning is. As in, there's not much of a plot, things just kind of happen, and it often leaves you with questions about death, acceptance, and the comedy that is life and violence. It's based on the work by Neko Jiro-san, who unfortunately took their own life about a couple of years before the film actually released. It's based on one of her manga, which I don't have the name of right now. And Neko Jiro-san was a person who was rather affluent in the animation industry back in the day. They worked on a lot of shows, bumpers, ads, and even made their own manga, which featured these characters, these cats, which was very popular with high school girls. Their work often had dry humor, satire, and kind of poked fun at Japanese sensibility, often using graphic violence to kind of add a level of absurdity to it.
It's very sardonic, a very biting sort of sarcasm.
And to give you an idea of what this kind of looks like, I would like to show you one of the shorts that played on TV back in 1999. Full screen? What's full screen? Neko Jiro-san had this trademark humor where, like, ultra-violence just happens to people, and it's reacted to with the level of nonchalance that you would to, like, someone brushing you by at a subway.
And if you like that guy getting splattered, there was one episode that I remember we were watching together where they, like, took control of some kind of civil service vehicle. I think it was like a dump truck or like a steamroller, and they were running people over, getting splattered left and right. Yeah.
And if you're wondering where you can find that, it is all uploaded on YouTube under the name Neko Jiro Gekijiro. It's, like I said, made before Cat Soup, and mostly consists of little short films just like that. Anyway, let's get into the, actually go back that one slide. So the film follows the two main characters that you would find in Neko Jiro Gekijiro, Nayako, which is the older sister or female cat, and her little brother, Nayata, which I mean, if you know how Japanese, the Japanese language, they're like, it's like cat female, cat male. Nayako is seen here lying in a room, very ill, and later on, shortly after this scene, Nayata accidentally drowns himself in a bathtub, or at the very least goes unconscious. And then, while he's unconscious or in the afterlife, he sees his sister also being taken away by some sort of spirit, angel, devil, not necessarily known. And he fights with it to keep his sister's soul. Unfortunately, he only gets half of it. And throughout the film, her sister, which some people have speculated to be a almost stand-in for the original author Nekojiro herself, and they're just in this brain-dead malaise state, just kind of going through the motions as
lobotomized diva.
Exactly. And it's kind of weird because, like I said, the film itself doesn't necessarily have a structure. It's not like these characters are talking very often, and it's just kind of like they're going through the motions as stuff happens. Like this. There's a scene where this lady just gets cut up, her body parts like flying around, getting blood everywhere, and then she comes back together, and it's revealed to be a magician's act. But I mean, it's very ultra violent. And is this explained? No, they just walked in from the desert and saw some lady getting cut up. There's also a scene where the Nayako, her hand falls off, and someone has to sew it back on. And as you can tell, the animation was really good for this scene, to the point where the director, Katsuo Sato, commented in an interview that this scene specifically caused his peers to ask him, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" That was horrible. And in the interview, he seemed really depressed and down, like sad about that. He's like, yeah, maybe we did go too far, but honestly, it's a great scene and really well animated for a first-year digitally animated film. Like, this is during that time where they're transitioning from cell animation over to fully digital, and because it was fully digital, the shots that they were able to do on such a short budget was actually pretty impressive for what they actually ended up making. And honestly, if you guys ever have an opportunity, just look up Cat Soup on YouTube, and you can actually get the full film for free, and you can enjoy this man's amazing art, which unfortunately we won't be able to enjoy or get anything new from ever again.
So the next thing we're going to be talking about is Bad Boy Oliver. Now, that's not Oliver, that's another character. What I love about this short, released on YouTube in 2023 by Mr. Friend, it's only about 7 minutes long and made by 3 people, which I think is just wonderful, that anyone can have this free software, make whatever they want to come to the world. So the main character, Oliver, is going to visit his Uncle Charles and Aunt Pat. The story begins with him taking a bus at 8 years old by himself to go visit his relatives. That's not the scary part, he's just allowed to do that. What I love about the film, short film, is that it plays upon generational trauma and hidden abuse. At the start of the film, we actually hear a narration about what Oliver's doing, what he's going about. Like, why is he visiting, hanging out with his uncle and aunt? But when they actually enter the house, the narration stops. And it's just specifically what Oliver is saying and what his relatives are saying. When they show him to his room, the room he's going to stay in for the weekend, they introduce him to Mr. Bobo. This was once their Uncle Charles's and his brother's monkey thing that his dad just made him, which it's a bit creepy. Like, even if it was made like, I don't know, the 60s or 70s when I was normal, I'd be like, we're 40, do you want to get rid of that thing? Like, imagine being like...
I hate how long that thing's limbs are. It feels like at any moment it could just reach across the room and put its fingers around my ankle or something.
Hey, honey, you see this thing from that creepypasta we read that one time? Let's put it in the kids' room. That'll surely fuck with them.
Now, I won't want to go into the ending, if it's a supernatural thing or if it's not a supernatural thing, but there is a lingering drama of whether or not the thing can actually move. Because at one point, Oliver does knock it over, when he's just playing with his trucks, as you do in your room, and he's afraid if it might come back to life or not, or even if it actually had life to begin with. And then it says, oh yeah. So, I mean, I didn't want to spoil the end of it, so I want to show the ending picture. Something bad happens to Oliver at the end of it. Maybe he's hanging around.
Oh,
Thank you.
damn.
I'm going to play a short little clip from him, which is, again, Oliver's reaction to this was my reaction when I first watched this. I was like, ugh.
I'm sorry, it's not much. We still haven't gotten round to redecorating yet. Uncle Charles, what's that? Oh, him? Why, that's Mr. Bobo. Your father and I used to adore him when we were children. Why, we could have sworn he had a mind of his own at times. Mr. Bobo?
So imagine you're getting your room set up for your nephew and everything, and think, you change the sheets? We change the sheets. We took out the laundry? Okay. The monkey? He stays. He stays for the 8-year-old. The next one? Oh, hold on, I gotta move this mouse. It is. It's yours.
What up, Momo fam? That was fucking horrifying. Let's talk about squirrels. So this is Peace on Earth. This was a 1939 MGM cartoon directed by Hugh Harman. So this is one of the first films to be both animated and talk about real gritty shit. This is during World War II, which not good. The books on it, not good. Really bad time. As you can see here, the film takes place in apocalypse. Everyone is dead. Mankind has been wiped out through years of war and bloodshed. Men, women, and children alike gone. And how this had happened is being told to us by one of the few to witness the fall of man, cursed to walk the earth with the horrors of mass genocide. Grandpa Squirrel. So Grandpa Squirrel saw everything. Grandpa Squirrel saw the whole thing go down, and dude, it was not good. So this takes place in an anthropomorphic utopia where everyone's chilling. The song, it opens up with this cover of Hark the Herald Angel Sings. They took the lyrics Peace on Earth and they made that the whole song. So it's just Peace on Earth, and that's it goes on for 2 minutes. That's the scariest part of the film. But
I also think an interesting historical note is that this film was made before any bombs had ever been dropped. It's historically relevant because it encapsulates those fears that was had at the time. And it also should be noted that this film has been remade under the same name by a completely different studio, Hanna-Barbera. But we're recommending the 1939 one.
Yeah, no, the guys that did the Flintstones saw that and they're like, I can do it better. We got this. So, So what happens is Grandpa Squirrel comes over and they're like, Grandpa, what was the world like before? And so Grandpa Squirrel, who's played by Mel Blanc, by the way, uncredited, he recalls what humans in their war was like. The film shows, can we show the next?
Next slide. Next slide.
Okay. Oh, never mind. I guess we don't have any. Go back 2 or 3. One more. One more. One more. There we go.
This one. Okay, good, good.
So this movie covers essentially what is depicted like the World War II, which was going on at the time. They didn't know it was II. They were just figuring it out. But we see humanity goes to war with itself over the most frivolous of things. First it's politics, then it becomes left hand, right hand, vegetarians, meat eaters. They're going to war just to go to war. They don't describe them as humans. We can go 5 slides down. They don't describe them as humans. They just, one more? Nope, keep going. One more? One more? 2 more? This is so out of order. 3 more? There we go. They depict them as monsters with these long elephant-like trunks with these eyes that had no life behind them. And these guys go to war to the point of extinction. Humanity is completely wiped out. And you're thinking to yourself, this started with squirrels, but now humanity is gone. But what happens is the animals come together and they're like, they find this chapel that's been completely destroyed. And in the chapel, go on to the left, the light has gotten so dramatic. They find the chapel, and in the chapel is this book they've never read. It's the Bible.
That's how we know it's a utopia. All the animals are Christians.
They're so lucky that the book they find is like in the language they just so happen to read. They could have just fucked off.
They are so chiding with the Bible reveal too. All the animals are like, man, if only the humans had been reading this, maybe they wouldn't have all killed each other.
Wow, this is such a good book.
That's what they sound like too. But he's like, look at this, thou shalt not kill. We don't know how the pages work, so this is just the one we're gonna use. This is the whole thing.
Can't believe they only put these words on here, but man, they're really good.
And so from the ashes of the war, they build like cute little houses out of like the guns and helmets, and that works. They just recycle everything.
There's a bullet next to that hat. That is like an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah. All jokes aside, the film is made during like the middle of the war. They're trying to figure out what's going on. There's no guarantee that this shit's gonna work out. You know, the whole society thing. And it's groundbreaking. Apparently, they were supposed to be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Ironically, that year that was canceled due to the war. So that was kind of left in the dirt. But it's something interesting to look at because it's still timely today, where there's just so much going on, and it seems like so simple an idea, just peace on earth, just thou shalt not kill. But like, it's an important value that doesn't seem to have landed. I think if we need to like have a group party with like everyone and just watch this, and we might figure it out. We might be cool. So here's a clip that was, well, it's aged.
Oh, it was awful. It was terrible. Well, they fought and they fought and they fought until there was only 2 of them left.
Oh, I fucking got him. Look at this shot.
And that was the end of the last man.
This is narrated by a squirrel. This is a squirrel telling you this.
For that shot specifically, they actually killed a guy and rotoscoped him, so that's why it looks so realistic.
I just want to say Disney doesn't have the nards to do something that metal.
And that's that.
And now we're on to movies.
That's right, we're gamers.
But not that one first.
All right, good evening, con-goers. I'm going to take your hands all for a moment as I guide you all into the movie section for the evening. And the first film that I'm going to be talking about with all of you tonight is called Kill It and Leave This Town. So the first thing to understand about this film is that it was hand-drawn and animated all by one dude over the course of 14 years. The animator, now I'm going to be trying to pronounce some Polish here, so bear with me. Mariusz Ilczynski is the name of the auteur. And when you've been working on something all on your own for 14 years, just your pure, unfiltered vision, you end up with a work of art that is very deeply personal, that almost defies interpretation. But I'm here to tell you this evening that I took a lot of magic mushrooms and watched this movie, and I get it now. I understand the film.
I was the one who gave them the mushrooms. I didn't even have any.
They're just joking.
So this film kind of falls more into the category of films where rather than having a concrete and structured plot, it is more trying to evoke an emotion from you. So this film is actually a spiritual send-off of sorts for the animator's parents. It's a way for him to say goodbye to them after their passing. And actually, in an interview with Mariusz, he says, he has a very interesting take on his parents' death. He says, "I don't believe in death. They're not dead, but they live on in my imagination. And I thought that was really powerful and kind of gives you a look into this guy's headspace as he's creating this. One thing I really appreciated about the film is how it very authentically depicts Mariusz's lived experience growing up in post-Soviet era Poland. So his hometown, I believe you would pronounce it Łódź. It is sort of like in the center of Poland. You can see in the shot, there's like, or not even just in this shot, but throughout the film, there's like wall murals and advertisements, smokestack factories, and tenement housing. It's all very, very like, very characteristic of Poland at this time, very authentic to the lived experience. And the setting is actually central to many of the themes of the film as well. So we got some censorship bars there. Let me just give a warning that if you do decide that you want to check this film out for yourself, there is a lot of nudity in the film, and in fact, we're probably not going to be showing any clip of the movie for that reason.
You guys missed the squirrels now, right? Yeah.
Did you know squirrels narrated this one too?
For some context for this shot, I'm going to start off by saying that in Soviet-era Poland, due to things like meat shortages, their economy became very heavily centralized around the fishing industry. So that's where a lot of economic opportunities were going. That's where a lot of their diet was coming from. People were working and purchasing their food at these fisheries, and it became very characteristic of life at the time. So this motif of fish being processed is a familiar motif to Mario's because this is what he grew up around, but he extends it so that human beings are the ones being processed like fish. And it creates this sort of critical questioning of like the value of a human life and the barriers between life and death. Like he said earlier, he doesn't believe in death. And another visual motif that stuck out to us on our watch is the way that advanced aging is depicted in this film. Old people in the movie, they're usually depicted naked, vulnerable, like pitiable kind of. They're drawn with very deep, gouging lines. To me, to my eye, this indicates a sort of bitterness towards it all, towards the fact that we all are inevitably progressing towards old age, progressing towards the end of our lives. But to me, this also represents the corruption of memory over time, how looking back on things that happened to you in the past and putting those context goggles on can often leave the past looking a lot darker than we might have remembered when we were experiencing it at the time. So an example of this ugliness through aging is a childhood memory of Mario's that he talks about in the film, where it's like a slideshow projector, and his parents are trying to play this Mickey Mouse analog for him called Fiki Mickey Mouse. We're going to kind of get into this idea later of Mario's father being this troubled individual, but so the idea of memories being corrupted, the pleasantness of this memory of watching this Fiki Mickey Mouse, he remembers his dad saying that the show will make a girl out of him, and in fact the word that's censored there is a slur used to refer to gay people. So it kind of paints the picture of this guy not being the best dude. Go ahead and do the next one. And later on, Marios encounters this elderly couple on a train. They're fighting with one another. They're raising a lot of red flags for the viewer. And this turns out to be Fiki Mickey Mouse and like the Donald Duck analog, physically and mentally ravaged by age, which is a really fun thing to think about. Colorful Disney characters becoming old and shriveled up and feeble and helpless. Just a really fun thing to think about.
I mean, that's how I view Mickey Mouse, personally. I mean,
The guy's over 100.
So I talked earlier about Mario's painting this picture of his father as like a troubled yet problematic man. He's quick-tempered. He's toxic in his relationships. Go ahead and go to the next slide. The resolution of the film almost flies in the face of this fact, though, because despite it all, Mario's parents are reunited, either in heaven or Mario's memories, however you want to interpret that. And as this giant, naked Mario is wading through the waterfront and observes his parents' tender embrace right before they start boning like two wild animals, there's this underlying acceptance, strangely enough. His father wasn't a perfect man, but his parents still loved one another, and their relationship was part of the environment that made Mario's the man that he is today. We don't get to pick and choose these things. But the journey of reflection and self-discovery is a very relatable one, as is the sentiment that we can't change ugly things about our past. We can only weave them into the story of ourselves.
And skip. We highly recommend to watch this on like the biggest screen possible during any airplane ride. It could be our iPad, it could be a laptop. He recommended, the director specifically said, largest screen in front of people who did not consent to watch it behind you. He said, do that.
I really wanted people to see his artwork of like old people.
And what they do. Plague dogs. Now, when I first heard the movie, I judged it by its cover and I said, oh, do they have the plague? No. It is actually a 1982 adult animated adventure drama film, though you had a fun fact, remember?
Yeah, so this is made in the UK, right? So as you may know, in the UK, their rating system is a bit different than the MPA that we use here in America. And when this film was eventually imported over to America, the MPA looked at the cover, was like, oh, a cartoon about dogs. Gee, put it in the kids section at Blockbuster. So a lot of people who grew up in the 1980s and so forth and so on would have been introduced to this film like, oh yeah, look, it's a cartoon dog movie. Let me just... and then they get this fucked up film and be subjected to it at young ages, like 4, 5, 6, like, even though it was really targeted in its original country at like 13 to 16 years of age.
So this was written, produced, and directed by Martin Rosen, which is based on the 1977 novel by Richard Adams. You may recognize both those names because Martin Rosen directed the adaptation of Watership Down in 1978, and Richard Adams wrote in 1972 Watership Down.
Yes, and Watership Down has the exact same problem in America, because in Britain, for teenagers. In America, yeah, send your kid to bed with that.
Imagine being an author. Someone adapts your book, it does wonderfully, and then a few years later he says, do you have any more sad animal stories where they die, maybe? And he said, I have a couple.
Just a few.
So, as we've stood on the screen for long enough, this is one of the main characters. A talking dog named Ralph, but they don't actually talk, they talk to us, the humans can understand them. Within it, it has... Okay. So Ralph and his friend Snitter is subjected to horrible experiments to what they call the white coats. They have no understanding of why they're getting tortured throughout the beginning of the film and what they are being subjected to.
Specifically in that first panel that we're showing, that was one of the tests that they would do is see how long the dog could wade in water until it started to drown. And then they'd, right before he died, resuscitate him and begin the process all over.
This is such a rough movie if you're like a dog lover.
So this takes place somewhere in Britain, and the facility has this weird aura of what are they actually doing there? So his friend Snitter recently had brain surgery, as notified by, you can't see it, listen, something on his head.
It's duct tape.
Snitter actually has memories of a good human. He once had a master that he accidentally killed when he was running across the street. And throughout the film, it's mainly about loss of innocence for these two characters, from Snitter, who once actually had a human companion, and Ralph, who actually never knew a kind human. In the previous scene, this one, they actually find their way into an incinerator and have to find their way out, seeing dead dog bones and wondering, what do I smell? What do I remember from this? It smells like other dogs.
They're like in the process of trying to get out of that laboratory, and because they can't read on the account of being dogs, they wandered into an incinerator. And like from their perspective, like, what is this? What's going on? Well, this is ominous. But yeah, the tension that the audience feels is palpable.
And so, without a master, they wander around trying to find food and shelter. So when they come upon things like dead sheep and even just other humans, they try to react as, is this something that can help me? Is this human actually kind? Like there's an instance where they run into a butcher, just at a shop thinking, oh, this is a friendly human. Until they see he has a butcher knife and they immediately assume, oh, it's the white coat. They have to run away. And so throughout the film, it doesn't actually talk about whether or not animal testing is good or not, rather just focusing on the perspective from the animals. And they also have narration going over it from the actual townspeople when the dogs escape of, why did the facility tell us, these are the dogs that escaped, they're from your place, and what are you actually doing here? And they eventually find, a fox named the Todd, which is just like a local slang term for wild fox, talking about what he thinks about humans and how he survived after all these years. And throughout the story, the tale evolves over time from the news just vaguely hearing from rumors what these dogs are about, which is why they're called the plague dogs, because a rumor had spread that they escaped a medical facility where they're testing who knows what, and so they send the literal military to kill the dogs. What I find fascinating about this film is that it's actually the original ending the author wanted for a story. Because when he first made the transcript, his friends and publisher said, that's a bit sad. Can they live? Can they have a happy ending? And he's like, fine, I want to sell books and make money. But then someone came and said, you want to make a sad movie? He said, I want to make a sad movie. And we got a little clip right here.
Come on, then. Oh, yes. Come on. Come on. That's it. Oh, come on. Up.
What a weird time to cheer. It's the dog cartoon. It's the animated dogs. Put it in the G-rated section.
Oh. The lesson from that clip is gun safety. Okay, now we're doing Mrs. Blue.
Mrs. Blue, yes. Yeah,
I see you back there.
You see Mrs.
we're
Blue
talking
back there?
about Mrs. Blue. All right, milk that. All right, Mrs. Blue, made by Fortress Films using SFM, which is just as scary as anything we've seen before. Written and edited by Chad Payne, which that guy was born and realized he was doing bullshit. You can't be named Chad Payne and work at Walmart. You got to do something else. You're not allowed. This was released in 2023. It took 4 years to make. This is like, how many people are your little niche familiar with TF2? Okay, quite a few.
At least
that
2
rhymes.
people.
It's incredible. I mean, for anyone that's familiar with the community, you've seen the SFMs, you've seen, Team Fabulous too. You've seen where they have started. This is a full horror picture. All right, this is something that you'll be watching. It takes place in the world of TF2. It's got the TF2 characters, and then you'll just lose track of that as you go. I'm going to do a brief description of the film because I think you got to watch it. It's free on YouTube. You can pull it up literally as you're walking out. The medic and the scout are hanging out at his office. The scout's describing these nightmares, this paranoia that he's getting because of an incident regarding the respawn machine. In the game, when you die, you respawn. What if that was fucking evil, though? What if that was, like, not good? Well, in this film, they cracked that open. The respawn machine is an actual in-universe explanation for how they're coming back and forth. And it's not good. It's not good. That 20-second respawn time you had on a Dust Bowl wasn't that bad. For them, it was an eternity. They said it for a full-on eternity. The film follows the scout leaving out to his home, and then he and his mother his mother dies, he vanishes. And the medic, seeing these visions of the scout in that house being attacked by what looks to be himself, he needs to uncover what's going on. So he goes to the scariest place he can imagine, Fort, because it's just Fort.
It never ends.
It's horrifying. And in the midst of this, you got the spy and the soldier. They're investigating because the governor of New Mexico is missing. And you might be thinking to yourself, who's that? Can anyone name the current governor of New Mexico? No, but they're gone, and that ties into the major plot. We got to look into that later. So the film is, like, again, completely made in essence, which is impressive on its own, but it has such a distinct visual identity. It uses the red and blues that are so intricate to this game, and they mix it in such a way where you'll have, internal conflict or visible conflict with characters. One will be red, blue, but then when the character himself is dealing with, be it flashbacks or paranoia or despair, you'll see red and blue, not purple, but red and blue fused into the character, and it's fucking insane. I can't really describe the movie I can't even give it away because they go through total insanity. They have no idea what's going on, and you, the viewer, feel that exact same experience. They're seeing flashes of wars that haven't happened. They're fighting zombies. There's an engineer, and he has no eyes. He has no eyes. Why do you have no eyes? He has no eyes. It's really scary. That guy gets shot. The film is also fully voice acted. They have composed their own music. Like I said, it took 4 years to do. It's an achievement in SFM, but even in independent filmmaking, it's just a marvel to see. And it's completely free, which is just an amazing thing. Like, they didn't, besides, I think, crowdfunding, they get no funding for this, besides the monetization, which is anyone that's done YouTube, But they made it work. The film delves into things such as trauma, a lot of PTSD, because they're going through, this. If you've seen any film by Stanley Kubrick, you've seen 15% of the film already. You just didn't realize it. This film uses specifically The Shining as kind of a visual for the in-between limbo of when they're respawning. Where in like the Overlook Hotel, they're just passing through, but there are people in there that have been there for eternity, that they're stuck in there. And it makes you feel bad for kill binding when you're sending these guys to forever hell just because you wanted to do like a cute little ragdoll. You're a jerk. You sent them to here. This is a bar.
That lime green scout, he's in hell now.
He didn't deserve. All right, fair enough. And just look at this. This is made in SFM. It's so scary. We don't look like that normally. He doesn't even have that gun in the game.
We have a couple more images. You just want to cycle through it? You just want to... We got a couple more images.
All right, let's show the clip. That's him. He's like, he realized he has hands now. I wanted to show, this is my favorite clip from the entire film. It's so, you could just clip this on its own and it's perfect horror.
Thanks for the ride, Doc. You sure you don't want to come in? At least say hi to Mom?
Tell her I did, Scout. I have to get back to the office.
You really got to get out more often, Doc. Catch you later, all right?
I'll see you soon.
Hey, Mom! I'm home.
Where the hell have you been? You were so.
Just get the checkup, Mom. Come on.
So how was the doctor here?
Fine?
Did you ask him to stop by?
Try. I feel bad for the guy.
What's the matter with him?
I think he's on something. Who is this? You really gotta get out more often, Doc. What the hell is this? Who are you? Hey, Mom!
Spooky. Do you think Gabriel saw this and he's like, oh, those are my OCs. They wouldn't do that. It's so scary.
I personally like to believe, like, how the fuck did they figure out the story?
Weren't you telling me that you also interpreted it as being like referential to the mistreatment of soldiers during World War II, like experimental like drugs and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's similar to like in World War II when the Germans would just pump those guys with whatever they could get. Now we got like crazy meth. They had regular meth. This is crazy, scary meth.
So getting towards the end of the evening here, we're going to be talking about a film called Anomalisa. And this one was written by Charlie Kaufman, who was the same guy behind Being John Malkovich. So if you're into that sort of surrealist drama with a little bit of comedy mixed in, this will be right up your alley. In 2013, the film was funded on Kickstarter, and it began production from Starbreeze Studios, who actually happens to be behind one of our favorite stop-motion series of all time, Laurel, which, you know, what else do you gotta say? You gotta throw some respect on my man's name here, Oral.
Golly!
So the original Anomalisa was performed in 2005 for the Los Angeles run of Theater of the New Year. So this is a concert where it is featuring sound plays, which are all audio-only drama with minimal visual elements. And Kaufman actually was initially opposed to the idea of transposing the sound play and adapting it into a film because he thought it took away from the experience, citing the disconnect between what's being said on stage and what the audience is actually seeing. So part of its punch is supposed to come from how weird it is. Because I'm not going to sugarcoat it, there are people fucking in the movie. So you're sitting there and you're watching this like audio-only sound play, and there's like 3 guys sitting up on the stage, and 2 of them are like sitting and looking at you and like making moaning and sex sounds. So that's pretty cool.
It's a good date night idea.
Kind of like what we're doing right now.
But another unique twist that comes with this presentation is that all of the characters are voiced by just 3 people. And that's because Tom Noonan is voicing everyone else. That's who he's credited as. This sort of eponymous entity that is everybody who isn't the main character, Michael Stone, and Lisa. Because the play's main subject, who is a customer service consultant, Michael Stone, suffers from a psychological delusion that causes him to perceive everyone around him as having an identical face and voice. His condition is based off of something called the Frigoli delusion. What Michael suffers from and the Frigoli delusion itself are not one and the same. It's just that the movie was inspired by the delusion, and it's the name of the hotel, and even the pen name that Charlie Kaufman originally wrote the sound play under. So that's all pretty cool. Unlike other character study type driven films, you get the impression that Michael isn't really supposed to be sympathized with. He comes off as being really arrogant and callous. He doesn't really give anyone the time of day.
I mean, there's a level of implied narcissism when everyone that isn't you looks and sounds like the same person.
Right. And notably, his delusion of sameness does not extend to himself. So he's perfectly capable of seeing his own individuality and authenticity, but does not recognize it in other people, which is kind of a dick way to live your life.
And a part of this delusion also has this idea that this nameless entity that is everybody else is also obsessed with specifically the main character, Michael Stone.
Eventually, Michael meets Lisa, a young woman attending the same conference where Michael is giving his presentation, and he is captivated by Lisa because she has a unique face and a unique voice. And Michael convinces Lisa to first drink and then rendezvous at his hotel room where they commit an act of infidelity because Michael's a married man. It starts off actually with this really interesting scene where Lisa is singing to Michael, and she sings that Girls Just Wanna Have Fun song by Cyndi Lauper. And she's not a particularly good singer, but her performance moves Michael so much because he's like a man in a desert who's seeing water because everyone else is the same except for her. And it causes him to not really view her as an entire person, instead fetishizing this otherness that nobody else seems to possess.
I don't give you the next one.
Michael goes on to propose to Lisa the next morning. So he's willing to go all the way. He's gonna leave his wife and run off with this woman that he just met last night.
And to add insult to injury, his wife and kid also have the same face, same voice, and the way he treats his wife and kid is with complete disinterest.
Yes, in fact, there's a letter that he reads, and it's narrated as if you know the thing they'll do sometimes in shows where you're reading the letter and it's being read in the voice of the person who wrote it, and it's that same Tom Noonan, everyone else voice. He calls his wife and son on the phone, and they have the same voice. But after he proposes to Lisa, something interesting happens because Lisa and her appearance and her voice sort of metamorphosize into that everyone else when he's noticing these habits that she has at breakfast that are like annoying him. So it starts off like, hey, you're different from everyone else. I'm fetishizing this otherness. But then when it starts to inconvenience him, when it starts to get on his nerves, suddenly he's really peevish and irritable and standoffish. There's a sudden venom in his demeanor. And that leads us to what is kind of the climax of the film, because he goes to do this conference. It's supposed to be an ironic scene because the subject of the conference, because he's a customer service consultant, the subject of the conference is making human connections with people through customer service by respecting and empathizing with others as unique individuals, which is something he is explicitly incapable of doing. The presentation gets derailed totally as Michael starts like raving about politics and everything he thinks is wrong with the world, bearing his soul about how alone he feels and how he feels like he has nobody to talk to. It would be an understatement to reiterate that Kaufman does not seem to intend for the audience to be rooting for Michael. The guy's an ass, fully intending on cheating with his wife and abandoning his family in a wild bid to make up for lost time and abate the boredom and discontent of this like midlife crisis that he's having. Even when Michael is kind to Lisa and seems to be respecting her individuality, like I was talking about, he's not seeing her as a whole person. He's fetishizing the otherness and objectifying her as an anomaly, anomalisa. This attitude towards other people is the source of Michael's loneliness and relationship failures. And at the end of the film, Michael's still completely miserable. But what makes the film the most disturbing, when you take a look at these characters that you're not able to root for, that you don't want to empathize with, is when you start to see aspects of yourself in these characters. That is the part of the film that is truly disquieting.
What is it to be human?
What is it to ache? What is it to be alive? Each person you speak to has had a day. Some of the days have been good, some bad. Each person you speak to has had a childhood. Each has a body. Each body has aches. Look for what is special about each individual. Focus on that. Remember, there is someone out there for everyone. I think you're extraordinary.
Why?
I don't know yet. It's just obvious to me that you are. Our time is limited, we forget that.
Sorry, I grabbed your hand.
It's okay.
It's a reflex. But I don't like to flop.
I said it's okay. You can let go now, though.
We have one more friend. Decorado. Okay, so who here has heard of Unicorn Wars or Bird Boy? That's good, a lot of hands. That's good, that's good. This is made by the same director, Alberto Vasquez, and it features primarily two main characters, Arnold, and his wife, Maria. The film takes place in this city that is ran by this corporation called Alma, and Alma is a mega corporation that owns and runs everything, which comes into the central plot later. But going first, one of the first main characters that we are introduced to is a man named Arnold, and his issue is that not only is he unemployed, but he's deeply mentally unwell. He even is prescribed medication, which is now with extra happiness. His paranoid delusions also include believing that other people are in fact, this delusions that people are watching him, following him, and like almost plotting to keep him unemployed and unable to help. And his wife is only barely employed and keeping them both afloat, which causes strife and issues between them, and also internal conflict with his wife, who's struggling with imposter syndrome and depression, while her husband is going through a complete schizo-paranoia depersonalization episode. On top of that, the town that they live in, which goes unnamed, is kind of classist. For example, one of the first scenes in the film involves a character straight up saying that they think poor people are always full of resentment. And this person is seen throughout the film just making fun of poor people. Every police officer is a dog. There's this one scene where Arnold sees this beggar getting beaten up by a group of people. He's like, "Hey, stop it! I'll call the police." And they turn around and they're like, "We are the police." And they start beating his ass too, which kind of lends itself to this comedy that the film has, as well as the dark humor. To compound the issues with this town and the lack of economic opportunity for those that have mental health issues and experience otherness is a giant white owl that will straight up murder you if you try to leave. Oh, just like my town. Yeah, exactly. Surprised they got out this time anyway. This owl is this guardian creature that basically, this town is surrounded by a forest, and this owl will try to kill you if you enter that forest. And no one's really seen beyond the set that is the town itself. One of the main character's best friends, while exploring this forest, is taken by this owl and crushed to death.
and in his final moments, potentially even sees a way out. But unfortunately, he is killed before he's able to relay any of this. Meanwhile, his wife is asking him to get a job, and as he's walking around, the help wanted signs are straight up calling him out by name.
Each one more specific than the last.
Like there's one that is straight up saying, "We are not hiring people with their first name begins with the letter A. This job does not hire middle-aged men." Then, go home, Arnold. This guy can't get
So
to
real, so real. If you've applied for jobs recently, so real.
Another aspect of this black comedy is that around 75% way through the film, he brings his dead friend back to life and has to apologize to him because he didn't consider his feelings about being resurrected. He's like, "I'm the one who's dead. Fuck you. I don't want to be here." What compounds these comedy moments is this continuing idea that Arnold is a paranoid schizophrenic whose perception of reality is warped. You don't know if these jokes about him being unable to find a job is what he's actually seeing, or if it's some sort of mental change. And whenever the film focuses on one character, the color palette changes subtly, and the way that the story is told and the seriousness of which it is told changes dramatically. So whenever you're following Arnold, there's a lot of almost comedy with what is happening, and you can't help but think to yourself if there's any kernels of truth to what's going on, or if what he is seeing is something that is in his head. One thing that should be noted too is that, like I said, Arnold is a big fan of cartoons with slapstick comedy, and he sees that slapstick comedy in his everyday life. Actually, a quick thing, because I remember to go home on thing. Do you know the show Pluribus, the Apple TV show? Not sponsored. They were running ads saying like, "Help us, Carol." I don't think they said "Go home, Carol," but like, "Come with us, Carol." And there was a schizophrenic woman who had one of the smart fridges who was named Carol, and they had a Pluribus advertisement that said, "We need your help, Carol." So I just remembered that. It's not in the slides. I was like, yeah, not good. So in that scene, his wife is asking if he's taking his medications, and Arnold explicitly states that he just doesn't trust it. Arnold has stopped taking his medication and now believes that the town is watching him, preventing him from achieving economic opportunity. And the town itself is also picking on him explicitly because he's mentally ill and had a problematic past, keeping him trapped in the cycle of unemployment, disappointment, and anxiety that causes his wife a great burden and leads to her own mental health suffering as a result. That society is beating this guy down, this guy who wants nothing more than to be free, and he sees his freedom at the outside of this town by escaping. But the last time he tried to escape, his friends died and or went to prison.
One thing that I really like about Arnold's delusions in this movie, and specifically the way that they are portrayed, is that it all seems so clear and obvious in the moment. Yeah, someone is outside my house. They don't have a reason to be there. They're watching me right now. But in review, thinking about all of this holistically, it's all circumstantial.
100%. The film likes to play with this idea of reality and life itself being a set. And it even plays around with the tropes of like the happy ending, which in itself quickly crashes as they realize that no matter where they go, what they be, or who they are, there is no such thing as freedom as society exists as it is. A society that exists around work and the cycle of abuse and horror. That the real horror of reality here is the fact that life is often spent, the majority, not having fun, second guessing yourself, and doing things that you wouldn't do unless if you were being paid to do it. And his wife even like kind of gets in on that, realizing this horror that they're trapped together. Arnold And eventually the film comes to a final conclusion. And that is, do you reject society, the thing that gives you these change that is causing your mental health, your body, your minds, and everything that you value to deteriorate? Do you join society and become a good, productive citizen so that at least you can enjoy the modicum of material pleasure that comes with having wealth? Or do you go off into the woods and take the company-provided meth? And ultimately, that is a choice that the main characters have to contend with at the end of the film. And that was our presentation. Feel free to take a picture of it. Watch the shorts, watch the movies, allow them free, allow them. Do we have time for Q&A? No, we're running out of time. If you want to talk to us after, that'd be nice. Yeah. You're good? Yeah. You just keep on outside for a second. Hope you all enjoyed this. Hope you learned something new. Hope you have some stuff to watch later. Before y'all leave, I see y'all getting up. If you see any film, watch that Desperado movie. Oh, yeah. It is literally still in theaters. The way I got the slides is that I had to film the film in the movie theater so that I could get the screenshots for you.
So that was a fake story that did not happen because we would never.
You wouldn't.
I would not.
No, you wouldn't. Then neither would you, but I did.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
I would drove 40 miles.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate you allowing us to do what we do. MomoCon wouldn't be the amazing special place if it weren't for all of you. Have a great rest of the night, everybody.
Alright, G. Well, that was that. That one was way more eventful than the last one.
What?
Well, it was way more eventful than the last one. I lost my little not finger thing. That sounded weird. In here I have my my thing that goes on the back of my phone. Can you just hold it open? Hold on just a second. Tahir, how are you? Welcome in, my friend. Welcome in. I'm gonna end it though with that. That was a lot better than the last one, I will say. Right, Dillman?
Yeah.
I always like that one. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and call it. Dillman, you gonna say bye with me?
Bye.
Come over this way.
Oh, over there. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Hope y'all enjoyed that one more than the last one. I took a. It's not a selfie, Kelly.
All I'm hearing is jealousy.
I am.
Hello, everybody. What's up? We're at MomoCon. Did you stream the panel?
I did.
Oh,
and the last
awesome.
one, but the last one kind of put me to sleep. Nova was in the last one. And who else came by the last one? A couple other people. Starting said, yeah. But we're gonna end it with that. Say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Where's it? Bye, Kelly.
Bye, Kelly.
Bye, Kelly.
Stream
Who said bye?
Digimon.
Stream Digimon. Bye.